perspective in terms of what's going on in this world. I saw a couple of very disturbing things today. I saw this female in the US get arrested by this security guard for not wearing a mask, right? And I saw the what happened with the protests at Trafalgar Square in terms of what was happening there. And then I also saw what happened. There was an example of what's going to happen to schools in terms of dealing with a virus and how they're going to, sustain people, so to speak, and let them get back to school. And the first thing I want to talk about was I looked at the school. The kids were wearing masks. They were made to stand 1.5 meters away from each other. They walked a red line to get to class. They sat in individual pods. And they were 1.5 meters away from each other. And I said to myself, I can't believe how the fuck is that normal? How is that anything other than just absolutely ludicrous? So let me get this right. We're meant to completely change our life. Completely, the way we function with everything, because of the threat of a looming virus. So we're never meant to live normal again. So let me get this right. We social distance. There is no contact. You wear a mask. Right? You don't interact with people. There's no leisure. There's no fun. And all we need to do in order to, and what's this, why are we doing all this? Because of the threat of a virus. So let me ask you a question. What happens when, because all you have to understand is we're not doing this to be safe from COVID. We're doing this because of a threat of a virus. So all they need to do to keep all of this going is to have a threat of a virus. This is in no way normal. This is in no way humane. And people are supporting it. What exactly are we supporting? Are we supporting dehumanizing people? Because that's what we're doing. We are supporting dehumanizing the human race. No contact. No kissing. No hugging. No interaction. Stay 1.5 meters apart at all times. Be afraid of human interaction. For what? For what exactly? What happened when the virus came through in 1919? Right? How come when that happened back then, we didn't have these measures that we do now? Yes, they were told to social distance, they were told to stay in their homes, whatever else, right? But they went back to a normal life. Why are we being pushed into this, it's almost like a sci-fi movie. We're being pushed into this ridiculous future where people are wearing, I saw these people wearing pods on their heads. And I'm like, what the fuck are you people doing wearing pods on your heads? Seriously, man, it's time for people to start using their brains out there. This isn't about a virus. Let me get this right. So a person's not wearing a mask, that's a public health risk, right? Because of a deadly virus. A virus that's so deadly, 8 police are happy to get on top of each other to deal with that person who's wearing the mask with no regard for their own safety, right? So what is it? The virus isn't that deadly? And the police are happy to get on top of each other? Or they just don't, or they're putting their lives on the line. Or maybe they know something that we don't. I don't understand. So, I couldn't believe that this guy at the ground, he's going, "You're not wearing a mask." So what does he do? He goes and puts his body all over it. So you're telling me you believe this virus is so dangerous that wearing a mask is vital, but you are happy to go and put your body all over this person without even wearing your mask properly. So is it about a virus, or is it about people exercising their powers and doing whatever the hell they want under this umbrella of safety? Because you can't have it both ways. I'm sorry, you can't have 9 people hop on top of one person because they're not wearing a mask. So let me get this right. A person's not wearing a mask. So 9 cops hop on top of them. So they break the social distancing rule. They get right close to, they put themselves in harm's way to 8 other people to stop one person from wearing a mask. How does that make any sense whatsoever? That makes no sense. So the cops obviously don't believe the virus is that dangerous, but they're happy to treat people to the highest level of their force that they can use when dealing with people. So is this about control, or is this about a virus? You're changing all these rules and you're bringing out all this legislation. You're not putting a time limit on it, but you're saying this is all about a virus. But your virus that you're putting all these rules and regulations for has shown its hand. And it doesn't even have a 1% mortality rate. It doesn't even have a 1% mortality rate. And this is according to world's figures. But it's still okay to, 9 people to jump on top of one person. So you're putting 9 people in harm's way to stop that one person from doing the wrong thing. So let me get this right. That one person wasn't doing the wrong thing. So you put 9 people in a position to be able to contract the deadly virus when only one person was at harm. Well, that doesn't make sense. So it's not about a virus. It's about control. It is about control and nothing else. It's about people not being people anymore. It's about us becoming robots, mate. We don't interact. There is no affection. There is no, communication to a stranger. There's fear. There's anticipation going near anybody. There's, maintaining distance. This isn't fucking normal. This is the furthest thing from normal. And anyone out there who says that, oh yeah, no, we're just doing this for the good of, you're not doing this for the good of humanity. So, let me get this right. As long as there's a threat of a virus, does that mean these things are all around? As long as there is a threat of a virus, does that mean that these rules are here to stay? Well, yes, the answer is. So what actually is the catalyst for whether this thing goes away or not? As long as there's a virus, these rules are always going to be around. So in order to have a virus, all you need to do is control the media and control what's said in the government. Then there will always be a threat of a looming virus. So you don't need to control the situation. You just need to control the narrative. As long as you control the narrative, people will always social distance. People will always have to wear a mask. People will always have to follow strict draconian measures for their own safety. Can you see where this is going? So it begs the question, why? Why are they doing all this? I'll tell you why. Because they don't give a shit about you. They don't care about your children. They don't care about your loved ones. All they care about is furthering their agenda. And the agenda, whether you want to believe it or not, is to kill a very, very large percent of the population. But they'll do it in a way that you don't even know it's happening. You'll believe it's, another wave or a deadlier virus. Did you forget? When did people forget they had an immune system? So let me get this right. For 2,000 years, for 2,020 years, our immune system has been doing its job. Yes, has been pharmaceutical stuff, but understand, most pharmaceutical stuff in the beginning was herbal, was plants, right? Then it became chemicals and vaccines and all this other shit. So all this time, our immune system was fine. Yeah? So now all of a sudden, you're going to tell me that in a time where cleanliness is a lot higher than it's ever been, where hygiene is at its highest level, even in third world countries, you're going to tell me a virus made its way through humanity now at its worst, like at the most, how can I explain it? You're going to tell me now that this virus at this time of humanity is a lot more deadly and contagious than it would have been back 300-400 years ago. When we didn't practice good hygiene and we didn't have sanitizers and all this other stuff. Why is it so deadly now? So we have to give up our whole way of life for this virus. What's the point in living if you can't live? What is the point of beating this so-called virus if you can't have your life the way it was? So, this is the new world. The new world is there is no more human interaction. The new world is kids don't hang out near each other. The new world is you wear a mask all the time and you sit in your own private pod. The new world is there is no interaction between people. The new world is there is no one going up to someone and saying hello at a bar or buying someone a drink or putting your arm around someone. Now people could argue and say, oh, well, that's just Victoria. We are the test bed to see just how much the people will push back. We are also the test bed to see just how well the authorities can control through intimidation and manipulation through the media. Because as long as there's the threat of a virus, then they will impose these ridiculous measures. I'll say that again. As long as there is a threat of a virus, they will impose these ridiculous measures. So the measures have already been fortified to deal with viruses. So, okay, we get through the coronavirus. What's going to be next? COVID-24? SARS 3.2? Right? What's the next one? Are people honestly that stupid to think that this is going to be the only virus? We've already shown our hand as a human race just how gullible and stupid we are as a collective. So what's going to happen in 6 months when people get over this one? All they need to do is get a few experts, line their pockets with cash because people care more about themselves and their own little circle rather than the good of humanity because people are fucking greedy, right? And disgusting. Control the media, create another buzz, and there you go. Bang. What's it going to be? SARS-CoV mutation 4.5, which is a lot deadlier and a lot more dangerous. All they need to do is control the narrative. That's all they need to do. And as long as the threat of a virus is there, the measures will remain. Because we as people have shown our hand. We are willing to give up all of our freedoms in order to remain safe. We've been indoctrinated with the fact that we need chemicals and all this shit in order to be able to be safe, when that couldn't be further from the truth. And this life, as we know it, the agenda has one thing: vaccinate everybody. So if there's not really a life-threatening virus going around, and people could argue and say, oh, you don't know what happened in America, there's 200,000 deaths in America compared to Australia, right? Well, the CDC turned around and said only 6% of those deaths were attributed totally to the coronavirus and no other comorbidities whatsoever. So pretty much those people were more than likely going to die of something anyway. And they just contracted coronavirus. So take that 200,000 number that you're throwing around and change it. The United States has also got, 324 million people? Compared to Australia, which has 24 million people. There is also reports that people in hospital, nurses and doctors, are treating patients worse than ever before. Medical malpractice is through the roof. There's also do not resuscitate and all this other stuff that's connected to all of these deaths. So don't just look at it like, oh, well, they're dying like that in America. You can't look at it like that. You can't say, where's all your facts? And then when you say what your counter argument is, you only bring up 5% of the whole thing. So take into account the medical malpractice. Take into account they're saying do not resuscitate. Take into account that they're treating people like they've got this illness that if they go near them, that they're going to die, and people are being left in the rooms to fend for themselves. People aren't being showered for 2-3 days in these hospitals. So don't sit there and say it's one little thing. Either look at the whole situation or don't speak. Look, all I've got to say is this. This virus is a load of shit. Yep, I'm saying it. This virus is a load of shit. People saying, oh yeah, I had someone who died in hospital. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what the hell they died of. You don't know what they died of. Yes, they had a fever. Yes, they had chills. Yes, they had fatigue. Sore throat. You could get all of these symptoms with a number of different illnesses, not just the virus. So you can't use that. The hospitals are getting paid money to put COVID on the death certificate everywhere around the world. People are getting money to say that the death was from COVID on the death certificate. That's real. They're incentivizing people to say that people are dying from this. So here's all the cracks in this whole situation, this whole story. The recovery rate is huge. 99%. The mortality rate is lucky to be 1%. You've had to go door knocking to try and find people that have a virus. You have the Premier getting on and saying, please get tested. I'm sorry, if this virus is so deadly, why do you need to get on the news and tell people to get tested? You're shutting down businesses and destroying the economy and destroying the world, and you're saying you need people to get tested. They're either fucking sick or they're not. They're either sick or they're not. You need to get tested. Are you kidding me? Let's keep going, shall we? Let's keep talking about how ridiculous this is. You tested 4.6 million. And you're lucky to have 0.4% positive. Just think about all of these things. Doctors all around the world, Australia, United States, right? Canada, UK, all getting up, speaking of, challenging the validity of this virus. Why are they getting censored? Why would a doctor put his whole career on the line? These doctors lose everything. They lose their credibility and they get their medical license stripped off them. Why would they do that if there was no validity to what they're saying? You have to ask yourself these questions because they're good questions to ask yourself.